Hi, and good morning, and welcome to Menopause Matters. As you know by now, we talk about mainly menopause, but we talk about all sorts of other things that come up as well. So today I have the great pleasure of having Donna Parker with me here. Hi, Donna, how are you?
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You are welcome. Donna, this is interesting because you're in San Francisco at the moment. I'm normally there, but I'm away on vacation at the moment. So it's a little strange question, but I always like to find out. You may know somewhere that I don't. If I was to come and visit you in San Francisco, where would we go or what would we do?
Well, if you would come to my office in San Francisco, I'm in the marina,
Oh,
and we would sit down and talk. And that's how I start. It's
uh-huh.
so nice to be able to have as much time as you need to express everything that's going on for you. If you can't
Fantastic.
actually come to my office, then I do coaching on Zoom calls, just like we're doing this call now at a distance. So it can be done either way.
Well, that's amazing. So I now know where to come and find you. Um, okay, so I'd like to understand a little bit more about you, so as the audience understands too. Can you tell us your story and how you really got to where you are now and who you work with?
Yes. Well, I have been an acupuncturist for about 17 years, but I've been in the health and wellness industry for forever. I look back and I see as a teenager, I was working on food and cooking and yoga before yoga was popular, or being a vegetarian before anybody really knew what that was. So it was a pretty interesting journey around health. Um, and then I had a baby at 40. So then I had to deal with hormonal issues as well as going into my mid 40s, into perimenopause.
Hmm.
So it was a it was a different challenge that I had to face, and I was looking at how do I help my own hormones? How do I get my body back into shape after having a baby at a later age, which is a lot tougher than a woman at 20 or even in their 30s.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely different journey. And then as I headed into perimenopause and full menopause symptoms, I had to figure out, how do I help myself? I do have regular acupuncture treatments, but I also had to start trying different systems, different herbs, different remedies to figure out what would really balance my hormones, and also what is going to keep the weight off. Because what was happening with me and so many women like me, one, having a baby at 40, then having to get that weight off
Mm-hmm.
later in age, and then heading into perimenopause and starting to gain weight, especially around my middle.
Yeah.
And that's where it just seems to hang on to, as well as starting to have sleep issues and hot flashes, and just feeling like, there were things that were coming up that were just really challenging. So
Mm-hmm.
that's when I tell all my patients that I'm my own experimental case. So whatever I suggest with a patient, it's absolutely something I've tried. Even if it's a detox that I do not need to do, I
Mm-hmm.
will run my body through it to see what it feels like. And so that's what I started doing. I started trying different things to figure out what was the most effective treatment.
Okay, and what did you ultimately come up with, or was it a combination of things?
It's really a combination of things, and it also depends on the individual. So some women don't have hot flashes, but they don't sleep well. Some women have hot flashes, but they do sleep well. It can go in either direction. But what I found is working with the gut and cleaning out the gut and changing diet. And I tell every woman, it's almost like every decade, you have to change the way you eat.
Okay.
In my 30s, I didn't eat in my 20s, right? In my 40s, I don't eat like in my 30s. So there are some things I just don't eat anymore. And
Mm.
it's okay because I ate them in my 20s. And some people feel that that's really not fair, that they can't just continue eating the way they ate. But our bodies just can't maintain it. And getting very clean eating and cleaning out my gut was one of the first things that really made a difference. And it's one of the first approaches I do with every patient.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is the fact that we are all individual and really there is no one size that fits all. But the concept of cleaning up your diet is really what is key. So what might work for one person might not work for somebody else. And I think this is often what we find is there's some trial and error for us individually to find out what's working. Are there any groups of foods though that you would say generally to avoid that is going to help with the gut?
Yes, I think that there are the basic inflammatory foods, and those are things. Inflammation is like when you twist your ankle and it swells up and inflames. But that's the kind of thing that you don't want chronic inflammation in your body when food doesn't work with your body.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell people to take out all the basic allergens, and that's the gluten wheat category. That could be corn, soy, sugar, and dairy. And those are things that some people can deal with and some people can't. So what we do is we take them all out and then we'll reintroduce one at a time to see if that makes a difference.
Okay, what sort of time frame do you work with that then? Because a lot of people out there want the magic pill. They want everything to happen like yesterday. And it strikes me by doing something like this is going to be a reasonably lengthy process.
I do a 28-day program.
Oh, that's quicker than expected.
Yes, I know, but it's not as quick as some, right? I do have a small 5-day program that gets people off of sugar.
Okay.
But really, to clean the gut, I do a 28-day program. But people feel like they might not be even eating, but I have plenty of food and recipes, and you're mostly eating vegetables and protein,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really how we should be eating anyway. So when I say it's a 28-day program, it's really the beginning of the change, right? Changing how you do your life. I like to not talk about short-term fixes because people get in their mind, they get this intention that I do this short-term fix, like a short-term diet, and then I get to go back to where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the reality. And I'm really honest with people that this is a change, that this is a lifestyle change.
Mm-hmm.
And the 28 days really does get you into a better place. And then there are some things that you could try to reintroduce. For me, there's certain foods that I just don't eat anymore, but there are some that I eat maybe once or twice a week. And there might be another one, excuse me, that I'll eat on a special occasion.
Mm-hmm. Would you find that would interrupt the clean living, or do you think because you have got such a good baseline now that you can tolerate these things in small doses as such?
I think that most people can tolerate in small doses. There are some people who can't. Mm-hmm. And those people may have just overdone it for so many years that their body doesn't give them much wiggle room.
Okay.
But my idea is it's about progress, not perfection. If we're striving for perfection, you're just not going to be able to do it. And we have to have some wiggle room. We have to have birthday cake if that's what you like on your birthday. Mm-hmm. It's that sort of thing that allows you to continue to have a clean living life on a like an 80-20 basis.
Yeah, I get that. I've also spoken with ladies who have said to me that once they've done something like this, it's surprising when they go to have that piece of cake or they have something that, they absolutely loved before, they've actually gone off it.
Exactly. That's the magic of it. And once you get off of it, you don't really crave it for one thing. And then if you eat it, you can actually see how you feel because you're clean. And when you eat it, you can go, I don't really feel that well anymore on this. And then that's the awareness that food really doesn't work for you.
It is interesting though, I think, Donna, how we as a society have really lost touch with understanding and feeling how our bodies are feeling. We don't really register the signs that, we might have something to eat, come away feeling bloated, but accept that as being okay and normal rather than our body's trying to tell us something. Or you might have certain spices that suddenly you feel like you've got heartburn and you go, well, that's what you get with that, rather than, no, this actually is something that's not working for me.
Precisely. And that's what I ask people when I interview them. I ask them all about their digestion and things that they think that maybe every gas and bloating after eating is normal, but it's really not. Or maybe constipation is normal, but that's really not. And so we kind of get used to how our body works. And once we clean it out, we can actually see how it can work.
That's brilliant. So this is a sort of a detox concept. That's something that we probably have all heard about, whether we subscribe to it, whether we've got the willpower, etc. But that brings me to the next part. It isn't just about the diet, is it? I think with detox, do we not have to think about our mindset and clear up some of our thoughts?
Yes. And the way we think affects our body. You know, when you're watching a horror film and you're actually scared because you're watching this, your heart's racing, your adrenaline's going, it's just your brain. You're watching a movie. We have to think about, how does that happen in our everyday life? If we worry a lot or if we have repetitive thinking, how does that come through and affect our body? So when I do a detox, it's called, my program is called Clear the Way, because it's not just a gut detox. It's a brain detox. There's meditation, there's affirmations, there's tips on ways to reframe your day so that you approach your whole day differently.
I think when we've sort of spoken to other speakers on this summit, we're all saying the similar things. And for me, it's something that is very simple, yet we all make it hard. We, for some reason, think that we're going to have to get over this huge, great big mountain to make things better. But it's not really like that, is it?
No, my ideas are always baby steps. I always tell people baby steps. So after a first appointment, I might just have them for an entire week drink one more glass of water.
Okay.
So that's how small it can be. Meditation can start with 1 minute of breathing. Because if you make it small and easy, you're going to start to build on it. If you're not exercising, you can exercise for 5 minutes. You feel good, maybe you might do 10 minutes next week. The thing is, when we want to meditate for an hour and a half and work out for an hour and a half and eat cleanly and perfectly every day, it's just too much. You're not going to do it, and you won't even get started.
That's true, because I think people get overwhelmed very quickly. And as you say, if you give them too much to do, it's like, oh, I can't do all of this. But that's not being rude to people. I think we all do that. You know, suddenly your plate's full and you're going, well, I can't do this and I can't do that. We find reasons why we can't do it rather than finding reasons why we can do it.
Exactly. And it's human behavior, really. I take it down to just the science of how the brain works, because sometimes we beat ourselves up about not being perfect or not even getting to start on a program. But I let people know that it actually has to do with your brain. And if you can make something 30 seconds easier, you're more likely to do it. And if you connect it to a behavior you're already doing, you're more likely to do it. So, for example, if you want to start flossing your teeth nightly, you put the floss next to your toothbrush. Right? You want to drink water in the morning, you already have your cup set out next to your coffee cup if you're a coffee drinker, right? You have it set up in advance, you make it easier, you make it a small step, and you connect it to something you're already doing. And these are the brain tricks that I share with people, because it gets past willpower. Sometimes it's not about willpower, it's just about brain science.
Sounds very much around being organized as well, because I know sometimes the days that I get up and I haven't been organized and I rush around, honestly, things tend to go all over the place. But the days that you've been organized the night before, you've set things out, you know what your plan is for the day, you have way more chance of succeeding.
I think so too. And again, you don't want to be overwhelmed with all the things you have to set out, but there are little things you can do that can make a huge difference. And what you do is you keep building on it. So as you're making these little changes, you can make other changes that lead to big changes. I always say it's like a ship that leaves from New York but is 1% 1 degree off course. it might end in Africa rather than Spain. And that's only 1% because you're moving along, right? And so a 1% change in something that you do, or one little change, will start to build and make a huge difference in the long run.
I think that's a very, very good idea. Very good tip as well, to sort of start small and see the big rewards. I'm going to have to ask you a little bit about, and I don't always get my tongue around this, about acupuncture. So tell me a little bit about how that works and how you can apply it in this scenario of helping women with the menopause symptoms.
Yes. Well, acupuncture is very effective for all sorts of issues and problems, and particularly menopause, because it can actually shift your hormones and reduce hot flashes and help you sleep better.
Okay.
Chemically, it brings down cortisol levels and it increases endorphins. So that's why when people get off the table, they feel really relaxed and kind of happy, because their hormones are actually shifting after the treatment. I do something called 5-element acupuncture. And with that, I'm looking at taking into consideration the mind, body, and spirit. So in our appointment, if we met for acupuncture, I would not only ask you about your physical symptoms, but I'd also ask you about your mental. What's going on for you? How are you feeling? How are you doing in your relationships? What's causing you stress? How is that stress coming out in your body? And that will help me better choose the points that work on these meridians, the energy systems. And so when you put the needles in, it shifts energy so that then your energy flows more evenly. I always say it's like if you're riding down the freeway and you have a partially flat tire, you can still move forward, but not very effectively. So when you get an acupuncture treatment, it's like filling up all the tires on a car to the right air pressure, so you can really move forward with efficiency and just feeling good with your life. So what it will really do is it can help all those symptoms.
And typically, how long does treatment last?
Well, you mean as far as a duration of how many treatments would take before you would see something?
Yeah.
Well, that depends on how long you've had the symptoms. Okay. So if somebody's coming in and they've been suffering for years with something, it's going to take a little bit more to kind of unwind that. But if I have somebody come in, I have women come in and they're not even perimenopausal yet, but they want to get ready for it. That's the ideal.
Good idea.
Right? Because then they're like, I don't want to suffer like my friend did, or my mom did, or my aunt did. And so they've heard from their friend that acupuncture can help them do that. So it can move very quickly. People come in with hot flashes and poor sleep, and within just a couple of treatments, the hot flashes are coming down and they're sleeping better. And what you're really looking for is sometimes acupuncture, I'm honest, it doesn't always make every single hot flash go away. But what it will do is, if a woman's coming in and she's having 10 to 20 hot flashes a day, which is just incredible, it might bring it down to 3. And she might be sweating buckets, but after acupuncture, she's getting a little hot. She's getting a little warm. I used to call my hot flashes warm surges, because I would get one a day at 3 o'clock. It was the funniest thing. I'm like, must be 3 o'clock. It was the strangest thing. And then I just kind of get it warm, and then it would go away. And that was it. Yeah. But that's because of the herbs and the acupuncture that I was doing. And so that was how my body dealt with it.
So if you typically had somebody for some sessions with acupuncture, would you also include within that treatment then the sort of mindset, the herbs, etc., or is it a package as such, or would somebody come in for just the specifics? How do you normally work with somebody?
Well, given that I've got the training in health coaching and integrative medicine, I'm going to look at their labs. I'm going to treat them for acupuncture if they want to come in for acupuncture. If they just want to do coaching, then I'm still going to look at their labs. I'm still going to give them a program to do, and it's going to be all encompassing. So it might include some herbs. It might include some daily meditation. it it really depends on the individual. You take a basic package sort of plan, and then it gets modified to
Mhm.
fit the individual's needs.
Okay.
But it will always encompass many things, and that's one of the reasons I have so many certifications and different trainings, is because I felt like when I started many years ago as an acupuncturist, I always felt a little bit bad that a patient would come in, but then they would go to a naturopath, or they would then go to an herbalist, or a functional medicine doctor. And they would go to all these different practitioners, and it felt like so much effort for them
Mhm.
to manage their own care, that I decided, like, if I can do all these trainings,
Place.
they could come into one place. And if it's something that I can't resolve, I will then refer them out. But
Mm.
I can get a lot of things done with the trainings that I have, and be able to look at it from different angles.
That's brilliant. I've never really thought of acupuncture really as being something that I would consider for menopause symptoms. I think it's brilliant. What we should really do is I should come visit you. We should
Mm.
record how it's all done, and then the outcomes and feedback to everybody. That would be
Oh,
interesting.
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, maybe
I
we
would
should.
love that.
So typically with a session then, and because I know nothing about this, I mean, there could be viewers out there that know enough and probably think my questions are daft, but how many needles would you use and how long are the needles in for?
Well, those are actually good questions. And I do have a lot of people come in who are terrified of needles. So
Hmm.
they want to know, does it feel like when you get your blood drawn as well? Well, the needle is a thickness of a hair. So super, super, super thin. Some needles will be put in and taken out right away, and some needles will be left in for a little bit. The
Mm-hmm.
whole treatment the actual needle treatment takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, in that range. But I see people on an hourly basis, because I like to sit down and connect with you and give you enough time to tell me everything that's going on. For some people, that might be 5 or 10 minutes. Other people, it might be a whole 30 minutes, because
Mm-hmm.
they have so much going on in their life.
Mm-hmm.
So I give the space so that you can really feel like you've been heard, and then treated.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual treatment itself is only about 20 minutes, 25 minutes of needles in and out. The number, it really just depends on what's going on for you, and how many blocks we're clearing, and what we're doing.
Brilliant. Wow. I'm intrigued. I'm definitely sitting on the edge here. Not that I have a needle phobia or anything, but I mean, I guess most people don't like needles. But it would be definitely a something for us to consider working on and reporting back. Gosh, that's really interesting. But I like the concept of the sort of whole approach, because I've typically found people will come along, speak about one or two things, and once they build that rapport with you, then suddenly the floodgates open and we find we've got this, we've got that, we've got the other. And that's really what it's about, is being able to have a safe place to talk about these things, and then have somebody who's knowledgeable really that can help you to get through there.
Right.
Yeah, so well done. I'm loving the approach. So Donna, do you have three tips, I guess, three tips that you might give somebody to take away today?
Well, if they're really suffering with menopausal symptoms, first I would eliminate some foods. You can do it on your own. You can just take some foods out of your diet and eat mostly vegetables with a small amount of protein, and then reintroduce some foods and see how they work with you.
Okay.
The other thing you can do is, if you're having hot flashes, sometimes that can be food related too. So definitely take out spicy food and alcohol, and see if that makes a difference in your hot flashes.
Mm-hmm.
And don't take a hot bath or a hot shower before bed. That can bring on hot flashes. So, those are just some simple things that
Yeah.
you can do. The other thing is meditation has been shown to reduce menopausal symptoms, especially hot flashes. And you don't have to meditate, with candles and oming and all that sort of thing. You
Mm-hmm.
can do 5 minutes in the morning when you get up, and 5 minutes before bed. definitely drink more water. And if most people don't have enough water in them, and that will definitely reduce menopausal symptoms.
Great.
Shoot for about half your body weight in ounces.
I was going to say, I think people often get confused about how much they should drink. We get sort of bombarded with various numbers, but I've generally sort of taken what I've heard as sort of 8 glasses of water a day. I mean, I don't know where you would go with that. Would you say, again, it's very individual because some people are fairly hydrated, others aren't?
It really depends. But if you're over 200 pounds, I don't do more than 100 ounces. Most women that I treat are under 200 pounds. So we do the general half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you do 50 ounces. And figure out a system of how to count that. I put rubber bands on a bottle, or, paper clips, something. And just start with adding 1 more glass per day until you feel hydrated. What I like to tell people is try doing 4 ounces every half an hour. Because what happens is when you take a big glass, I think this is like an 8-ounce glass, and you go, oh my goodness, I haven't had any water today, and you drink 2 of these, right? Then you're going to be peeing for the next hour because you haven't given your body enough time to absorb it. So when you're really trying to feel hydrated and get the water into the cells, do 4 ounces every half an hour. That way you're taking in smaller amounts and you're allowing your body to absorb it, and then you won't be running to the bathroom every 5 minutes. And then the other tip that I love to give is, sometimes we don't realize, but menopausal women can wake up with anxiety for absolutely no reason, or feel more anxiety in general, more worrying. And the one thing that I like to do is the 4-7-8 breath. And that's where you breathe in for 4 through your nose, you hold for 7, and then you exhale through your mouth for 8. And you just do 3 or 4 rounds of that, and it will engage the parasympathetic nervous system, which is your calming system. The sympathetic is the fight or flight. The parasympathetic tells your body everything's okay. So just remember 4-7-8 breath. And this is great if you're anxious or if you can't sleep. It'll help you fall asleep.
While you're talking about sleep, I have this huge theory, and I intend to start a club. 3 a.m. seems to be the time that women wake up with their hot flushes. They can't get back to sleep. I don't know why it happens to be 3 a.m. It seems to be wherever you are in the world, it's about 3 a.m. it seems to happen to you. Do you find this?
Yes, and I have the reason for it. In Chinese medicine, every couple of hours, your body, your organ systems have this perfect time to do their job. For example, between 5 and 7 in the morning is your large intestine. It's the best time to have a bowel movement. 7 to 9 is your stomach, best time to eat your breakfast. Well, between 3 and 5 a.m. is the liver energy passing to the lung energy. And the liver controls the blood. And the liver also has, like, if you're anxious and angry and frustrated, it coordinates with a lot of those emotional issues. And what I find is many people wake up between 3 and 5 a.m. And it's as the energy is passing from one system to the next, it's kind of clunky. I liken it to like a relay race, and they've dropped the baton and it wakes you up. So there are acupuncture points that I actually do to help people sleep through that 3 to 5 a.m. If you can't see an acupuncturist, then what you do is the 4-7-8 breath to get back to sleep, because you need to calm it back down. It's your system's been interrupted as it's going through the cycle.
Brilliant. Gosh, I think that in itself is an amazing tip. The amount of women that are awake at 3 a.m. are now going to have something they can work with. So thank you. That is my 3 a.m. club. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Donna. That's amazing. And do you have any free gifts for the listeners today at all?
Well, if you go to healthcoachdonna.com, you can get my free Gut Matters Health book.
Brilliant.
It's an ebook. It will talk all about the gut and how to clear out the gut. And it'll give them even more tips of what to do to get better gut health. And people sometimes don't understand the connection between the gut and the overall health system of the body. And
Mhm.
think about it, 85% of your serotonin, that's your happy hormone, that's made in your gut. Or your immune system, that's your gut. So
Mm.
we have so many hormones that are produced in the gut that when you balance your gut, you can balance your hormones. So I have a free Gut Matters ebook.
Brilliant. That is amazing. Honestly, I think everybody that's listening today is going to be cured completely. And if they're not, after speaking to you today, then they need to come get some acupuncture. Definitely. Donna, that's been amazing. I've learned a huge amount, especially about acupuncture, and I'll definitely be up to see you. I think we'll definitely make a recording of that. That could be fun. And I'm looking
I would love
yeah, definitely. I'm looking to do some more of these, so we'll definitely hook up and do some deep dives into some of these to help the ladies out. So again, thank you so much for spending time. I get to this stage with everybody and just wish I could keep talking forever, but we have to stop in the interest of time, I'm afraid, and we'll get back to this at another point. Thank you very much for today.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great.
Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have some amazing tips there. And well, I've been blown out of the water with my 3 a.m. club now. I know how to resolve that, why it happened. So, thank you for listening today. You've chosen to spend your time with us, and we greatly thank you for that. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye bye.